Module H brings in the concept that in an audit environment, a lot of what we're looking at is going to be looked at in the context of an information system and a technological system. So something like SAP, right? So that brings in the idea of, well, we're going to have to test the controls of that information system, right? So let's think about how a system works. So for every process that we have to test, right? And so we've learned that we need to test revenues, right? And we need to test the expenses. And so there's a process for that, and there's controls involved. Well, imagine these controls are entirely within an IT system, right? So a customer orders online. It goes to the customer transaction file. It's checked. We go to a customer master file. Like, think about at Amazon. They have your name, your address, your credit card number, other people you send stuff to, their addresses, right? So it's automatically checking that customer file to see if we can send them stuff, if we're okay with them, if they have an account, got their credit card. And it also to check inventory, right? Make sure we have that stuff to send. So it's checking, so the system is all doing this, and it goes ahead and generates shipping documents that go out to the warehouse. It generates an invoice that bills your credit card. If it's not billing your credit card, if it's an actual account where you have an account, then you're going to get an invoice. And of course, the transactions that go in the accounting system, right? So this could all happen with no people, right? So we have to consider the issues this introduces. All right, so input errors, right? So a computer system is only going to deal with what it's input, right? So that old phrase, garbage in, garbage out. So you've got to make sure that everything is input correctly. You can have systematic error, something that's going to repeat that error the same time every time it happens, or just a random processing error. I mean, power blipped off for a second while something was being processed and it impacted the controls. Lack of an audit trail, right? So unless the system is set up to create audit trails along the way, this will make it hard to audit, right? If somebody has inappropriate access, they hack in, or they use their password to get in and they're not supposed to be doing something in that part of the system, inappropriate access, that's going to be an issue. And there's reduced human involvement, which, can go kind of both ways. You don't have actual logic eyes, people looking at it and saying, well, that's just not right, because the computer only knows what you tell it is right. But again, then humans are prone to error. The computer's going to do the same thing over and over and over and over. If you tell it the right thing, then it's doing the right thing every time. Humans can sometimes do it right, sometimes do it wrong. It's late in the day, you're tired, you make a mistake, that kind of thing. Computers don't have that. All right. So, we, as auditors, we have some steps when we're dealing with an information technology system. All right, so we have to understand. So this is an important part of auditing, right? So we have to understand what the controls are and document them. So, right, here's a flow chart. We document we need to understand what controls would be in here and who would have access to what, right? So we need to get sure we understand our client's system. Then we assess it. So they've put these controls in here. Is that going to work? Is that going to keep errors from being inputted? Right? Will these output controls prevent unauthorized people from getting access to that? So we assess them. Are they going to work? Right? And then we test them just like anything else. Right? So on an integrated audit, we have to test controls. So of course we're going to contest the controls on the IT system. We'll see how they work. A lot of ways you can test controls. and we're going to talk about first controls, right? So we're going to talk about, so you can understand them, right? So before we're going to talk about testing them, we need to understand what they are, right? So we're going to talk specifically about controls now. If you've had accounting information systems, none of this will be new to you. In our client systems, there's going to be two basic levels of controls: general controls and automated controls. I'm sorry, application control. Well, automated application controls. I just call them application controls. So a general control is something that your client uses across all systems. For example, nobody can get in any of our systems without a password, right? And everybody who has a password has to complete our IT security course before they get issued their password. Like, that would be a general control for access. Any changes to the software on any program at our system has to be approved by the district manager who requested it. Then the controls, then the change to the software is actually created by the programmer, but it's uploaded by a separate developer. You know, right? There's rules. You don't want just anybody to be able to change your software, right? So there's these general rules that apply across all of the information system. And then there's application controls. So that's for a transaction. So for us, a transaction might be a sale, right? So any transaction level application, right? The sales application, the part of the computer system that does the sales, right? So invoices must be prepared at the same time as the shipping document, and two different people have to prepare them, and to make sure the input is correct, there's all these kinds of input controls. So two different categories, and we'll talk about both. We're going to talk about general controls first that apply to all across the system, whatever it is, the whole entire system. And then on another video, we'll talk about application controls. So on the next video, we'll talk about general controls.